Hello and welcome to another episode of the Morning Skate Podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell to cover the Thursday, January 4th, NHL Daily Fantasy Slate. DJ, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Um, yeah, Happy New Year. Basically the Bills made the playoffs and I'm pretty sure the world's freezing over now. I know that was mentioned in the prophecy as when the Bills make the playoffs, the world will freeze over, but it's snowing in Florida.
Yeah, DJ muted himself, but let me just finish his thought and say that Bills Mafia really travels. So the snow making it down to Jacksonville, just another outstanding showing by the Bills Mafia. So looking forward to that. DJ, come on, bud. Just
Oh,
plug your
sorry.
mic back
That,
in.
yeah,
There you go.
that does that all right, the problem is I'm not at my desk because I don't have a desk at home. So like I just lean on my cord a little bit and it comes unplugged. And I got it back on quick there. Yeah, but I also read, and I really feel like this has to be fake, but I read that the in Jacksonville, you are not allowed to buy a folding table for this week unless if you have a valid Florida license. So if you live in Florida and you want to make some money, I have an idea. Buy all of the folding tables and stand out by the stadium and just sell them for like $40.
That is pretty smart. And if you're a folding table, get the hell out immediately.
If you're a
Yeah.
folding table, you should run if you had legs. Well, they do have legs. All right, never mind. Let's get to the podcast.
Okay.
That was a good
Really,
time.
really well done.
Oh,
Yeah, it's been a little bit since we last did a pod. On Monday, I was
always
in New York
together.
City for the Winter Classic. So that Tuesday slate that came up, I did not get home until about 11 midnight ish on Monday. So that was definitely a no go for me. And yeah, so we got a really small slate on Wednesday. Obviously, the one game on Monday. So really only missed out on one podcast. Feel good about that and feel pretty invigorated to tackle our first podcast of the new year. So let's get started with 12 games. We have Florida at Boston. DJ mentioned to me that this one's probably the most at risk due to the winter storm that's, I guess, just banging all over the East Coast right now. So stay safe if you're on the East Coast. Anyways,
Don't
San
get
Jose
banged.
at Toronto, Islanders at Philly, Carolina at Pittsburgh, Tampa at Montreal, Vegas at St. Louis, Buffalo, Minnesota, New Jersey at Dallas, Columbus at Colorado, LA at Calgary, Anaheim at Edmonton, Nashville at Arizona. As you might be able to tell, there are no back to backs here, so nothing obvious jumps off the page. So, any thoughts on this slate, DJ, before we go game by game?
Um, I mean, I would just say that when you mentioned to me, Vegas loves Nashville, obviously in Arizona, loves Minnesota at home against Buffalo, but I mean, everyone probably is going to be on Minnesota in my opinion. Um, yeah, no, I mean, I'm ready. I think. I mean, the one narrative I guess that probably won't get missed by many. Marchessault just signed long term in Vegas. He's been pretty hot. He's pretty up there in price though, but I mean, honestly, I think it's almost like I know I've mentioned him a few times. Like his shot metrics have been pretty good lately, so might want to give him a look. If you like narratives or whatever. So okay, but we just get right into Florida Boston. I think the game will definitely play. I know we mentioned that, but it's probably going to play. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
and
there's
barring
not.
barring like something absolutely miraculous, it's going to play. What the report I read was that they're taking precautions. They're not expecting too many fans probably to make it, but they're probably going to play it at this point. So we can get right into it. Matt, do you want to talk about the Florida news? Because they're the team playing Boston in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like slate breaking news or anything, but it appears as if Evgeny Dadonov is playing on the skating on the first line now. In addition to that, he jumped up to the first power play as well, pretty much replacing Aaron Ekblad, as it appears from their most recent game. That leaves us with an obvious value spot in Dadonov, who has fallen all the way to 4,600 on DraftKings. He hasn't been all that great as of late, but remember he kind of lost his, first line, first power play role, and on a team like Florida that really lacks depth outside of their top three big players in Huberto, Barkov, Trocheck, it's tough to generate a lot. So even though in a pretty tough matchup against Boston, I think Dadonov is still a really, really good value at only 4,600 to get you exposure to these awesome players on Florida. So, do you have any interest in these Boston guys here? Marchand, Pasternak, Bergeron?
Oh yeah, I mean, I always have interest in these Boston guys. I mean, the question I guess becomes, like, I mean, the thing about Florida is I feel like, do they really line match too much? I mean, it feels like they definitely favor the first line and Trocheck, but I feel like they don't really shy away from playing everyone a bit. So I'm not that concerned about like that Boston one, Florida one, kind of both being pug dominant narrative that someone might read into. I'm not even sure that's a narrative, but I kind of definitely like some of these cheaper Boston guys for sure. I know last game Heinen went off kind of, and I wouldn't bet on Boston 4 going off again, but Heinen was on that top power play, so I'm definitely really interested in him.
Freaking incredible, man. He has 13 points in his last 10 games, and I was trying to figure out who he was at the beginning of this season.
Dalton?
So,
Yeah,
I
he's 4 or
mean,
5. He played power play 1. I just don't love his shot numbers. Like he's not a consistent floor shooter. Um, like last game he had 1 shot on goal and 1 goal. I can try to look at kind of where he ranks in our 5 game model, or you're actually really,
uh,
I should take no credit for it. Your 5 game model.
well, I mean, realistically, it's Doug's because all I do is I told him I want to scrape the NHL fantasy stats site, and he was like,
Oh,
okay, and set it up for me.
yeah.
So,
Basically, he's averaging about 3.25 shot attempts per game, 13 in his last 4 shot attempts, which is right around Barzell. It's also right around like Radek Vaska and all those guys. Actually, tied with Crosby if you're keeping track of what he's doing as a So I mean, yeah, I mean it's only 4 games. You never really know what you're gonna get, but he's definitely in play. On that first power play, I can't imagine they change it. They won
yeah,
5-1 over the Islanders, so yeah.
I think what jumps out to me is that David Pastrnak is only 6,500. You know, you're it's gonna be really tough for me to not play like Raquel over him, or maybe even some like Voracek at the exact same price. But I think 6.5 for Pasternak makes him cash viable for sure. He's not been all that effective, like shot wise, recently, and his minutes have kind of plummeted. But I think that's just because they've been like blowing teams out of the water basically
Yeah.
for the last 2 games, and you know he's still out there with the main guys in Bergeron and Marchand. So I wouldn't read too much into that. And I think that, you know, I don't think you should ever predict a 4 goal blowout in any hockey game just because that's not the way hockey works. So I think 6.5 makes a lot of sense for Pasternak. And obviously, I think Bergeron is one of the top centers on the slate. That's not much of a breaking news sort of take. But I do think I would lean Tyler Sagan over him at the current moment. So anything else you want to mention from this game? I mean, I just think Torrey Krug is a little bit expensive for my tastes, and there's really not much else here that interests me.
No, not really.
All right.
I don't hate Spooner as another option, but now that Heinen's on that first power play and Spooner's off of it, kind of takes him definitely a step down, even though he's pretty cheap. So
Yeah, I'm not
yeah.
chasing any of this lower line production for Boston. Like the top line's going to go back to doing their thing, so I'll just stick to them. But all right, let's go to San Jose at Toronto. We got Brent Burns facing the one of the premier teams to target defensemen going against in the Toronto Maple Leafs. Brent Burns is officially back to doing Brent Burns things. He has 52 shots plus blocks over his last 10 games, as well as having 12 points in those 10 games. Therefore, he is averaging just a shade under 5.5 fantasy points per game while playing 26 minutes for the San Jose Sharks. There is simply no reason you should not be playing Brent Burns in cash. You should absolutely not be spending 6.7, 6.6 for Yossi, Hedman, even Petrangelo. Like, none of these guys make sense. Just play Burns in cash and really play him in GPPs too, because he is still ridiculously way too low of a price and he is shooting the puck just like the old Burns. So, uh, that's really the main thing from this game. Uh, I want to say Couture was out the last time we did a podcast, maybe potentially play. He's obviously back now, back to his power play 1 role as well. But 6,000, I think, is a bit steep for that. and really, I don't like. I love Timo Meyer, but I'm just not comfortable buying quite back in yet because yes, he's playing with Thornton and Pavelski. However, the minutes still really aren't quite there, as San Jose seems to be rolling lines at even strength. So, any other thoughts or anything you want to echo that I just covered from this game?
I mean, yeah, the Burns love is well deserved. I know a lot of people, at least in the group me, were on Timo Mayer. I wish I had more time to make more lineups yesterday. I was pretty busy. I would have definitely rolled in some Timo, and he had a goal. He had two goals, right? Was it two?
Yeah, I believe so.
So two goals. He was out there on the second power play unit, which he had one of his goals on, and with Pavelski and Thornton. So I think Timo Meyer is definitely a decent value option with the way he knows how to shoot the puck, like no one else, pretty much. But yeah, I think everything else on the San Jose side you pretty much covered. On the Toronto side, one thing I've kind of been noticing about them is they've been really giving Morgan Riley and Jake Gardner a plethora of minutes compared to other guys. I think they're finally figuring out that Polak's pretty much used up. He's
Pretty
pretty much
much
done.
garbage. Yeah.
He's garbage. They're giving Connor Carrick some time. He's no good. And then was it Borgen? I cannot think of his first name right now, but
Oh, wait.
Al, Al, how do you
Oh,
say this?
Andreas.
Andreas. I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. Yeah,
That was a
Andreas
little.
Borgen.
I was like, why are you
He
talking about Will
so
Borgen from the Sabres? But yeah, okay.
oh,
I figured out what you
it's
mean.
Borgman.
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 Borgman, yeah.
Borgman. Yeah, Borgman, not Borgen. You mean Borgen, the USA Olympic team maker, Will Borgen, if that's what you're mentioning. But yeah,
That's right.
so the thing is, I'm probably never going to be like full on team Morgan Riley, but I think he has some merit in this matchup. He's been definitely playing pretty well. So I do think if you stack Toronto, it wouldn't be the craziest thing to throw in Morgan Riley with it. I think at 4-9, it's not way overpriced or underpriced. I don't love the matchup, but it's not the worst matchup in the world. So I mean, he would be on a power play with JVR, Kadri, Bozak, and Marner. So if you have some of those guys and you want to stack in Morgan Riley, I really don't hate it. I don't think he's like the best cash option of all time, but he is getting the minutes right now. So yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I just think that San Jose is playing really well right now. I don't really target Toronto all that much, anyways, just because I think they're one overpriced. Two, you can't really predict who's going to play. And well, really, there's no one who plays 19 to 20 minutes on a given night. And then even if it's Matthews, like he just simply hasn't really been all that productive. Like, he just doesn't give you the floor that if he doesn't have a big night, he's not going to meet value. So it's just kind of one of those guys that I just think you're better off leaving for GPPs only. And that's not really how I select players like in my pool. Like I want guys that have a floor because I think that upside is just as likely, or if not more likely, from guys that have like high floors. Just, you know, because hockey's a bit different than the other sports, in my opinion. But anyways,
Is it really, Matt? Do they play on a different surface potentially?
they do. Hockey is much more dependent on random bounces. So
That's true.
therefore, get the guys who generate the things that lead to random bounces, aka shots, and there you go. So
Not bad.
Matthews just simply hasn't been generating shots at like a super high rate. Um, and yeah, I mean he's fine. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not spending way up through the nose to target him in a pretty tough matchup against San Jose.
Are there any of the wingers though for Toronto? Just before we close out this game, I mean they're definitely down in price comparatively to where they were. I would say a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I just don't think you're getting a good combination of like rate stats plus minutes for all their prices. Like JVR is one of the better rate shooters in the NHL, and as you mentioned with Riley, like I like his role on that power play. But it's just tough when a guy's only going to play 14 minutes because you're basically leaving 25% of the potential ice time off the table because a guy who plays 20 minutes will play 25% more. And I just don't think that their prices are quite low enough to match that. So
Fair enough. All right, I don't mind that take at all, especially for cash. But obviously in GPP, it's never. I would say the worst idea to consider some of those guys. But we can move on to the next game.
yeah, I think this game's really interesting. Philadelphia hosting the New York Islanders. On first glance, you think like, oh, the Islanders are like a pretty good team. Philly's been struggling. Vegas has this as minus 130 in favor of the Flyers. And additionally, if you look at their like most recent 10 games, the Islanders have been pure trash when it comes to like basically generating chances and allowing a ton of chances on defense. So I really like Philadelphia here. Last game they ran some. Well, I don't want to say they ran some different lines because they switched them up mid-game. So actually, I just shut down the tabs I had open because I'm an idiot. But anyways,
What do you
so
want to
I
know?
I was just gonna look at if the Flyers ran some lines today, and I was gonna read last game's
Oh,
lines as best as I could. So,
would you want me to read last game's lines a little bit?
yeah, if you have them up, go for it.
I mean, it looked like Couture, Giroux, and Konecny.
Yep,
Is that
yeah.
I'm correct on saying that, right? Konecny?
It's Couturier. I mean, you said Couture too, so I'm just gonna
Oh my God, I did now.
Couturier, Giroux, Konechny, Travis
Konecny,
Konechny.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I left out the end. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Then Raffle, Fipula, Fitbit, and Voracek, and then Simmons, Nolan Patrick, and
You
Jordan
even
Wheel.
said Simeons, like he
Oh
was
my
like
God,
Trevor Simeon.
Simmons. No, I said Simmons. I think my
No,
mic just kind of cut out there.
yeah,
No,
okay,
I said it right. Don't listen
okay,
back to it.
all right.
Uh, yeah, that'll be good.
So you went about 3 for 9 on listing the top nine,
Ghost
and
Berry with provolone cheese. Um,
yeah, but I mean, so that's certainly an interesting thing they've done, as we've seen Giroux, Couturier usually either play with Voracek or Simmons, and now
Couturier.
it's neither, and Simmons and Voracek are on separate lines. So I think what that does for me is it really just has me honing in on Voracek as a one-off play. Um, it's absolutely just jaw-dropping to me, but Voracek has well over 3 shots per game on the season. He is shooting only 6%, yet he has 46 points in 39 games. Like, he is averaging 4.5 DraftKings points while shooting 6%. Like, that is really rare to find. So when guys are like putting up huge assist numbers, shooting the puck a ton, and getting really unlucky, that's like kind of the trifecta for daily fantasy purposes, because they're being productive while their price is not really meeting their sky high ceiling.
Yeah.
So I think that we're going to see one of those ceiling games for Voracek rather soon, playing 20 minutes a night. Again, in a really good matchup against an Islanders team that makes a lot of sense to game stack against. So Voracek for sure is my favorite target here. And then I think you can make a good argument for Gossespierre, even though he's a bit more expensive than I would
Yeah.
like. Um, but any thoughts here, Deej?
No, I mean, I was really gonna echo the Voracek love. I think it's almost I wouldn't say a no-brainer in cash because obviously it's 6,500, but it's pretty close. I mean, this guy is extremely consistent, and I mean, I feel like if you talk to like 100 pretty good hockey fans, and you said like, how many goals to assist do you think Jacob Voracek has right now? I don't think anyone, except if you were like a huge Flyers fan and you just knew the stats off the top of your head, would assume he had 8 goals and 38 assists. I mean, that's crazy for this guy. I feel like he's way more well known for his goal scoring ability rather
Oh
than
yeah, for sure.
his playmaking generation. But those are stats of true playmaker. Like it's crazy to hear those numbers. So he's definitely due for some positive regression in the goal category. Yeah, I think I like this Philly side a bit. I mean, we're missing. Well, not we're. The Islanders are missing Johnny Boychuk. He will not play in this game. Well, I guess there's a chance, right? Is there a chance Boychuk could
Uh,
return? I think
I
it's
Yeah,
like
I want to say he got
there.
put on IR like 7 days ago, so it's right around that time where he could come
Yeah, I
back.
think there's a chance. I don't remember seeing anything
For
concrete either way,
Yeah,
actually.
for me,
Now
either
thinking about
way,
it.
I'm not that interested. Like I don't want to give up on Pulak yet, but like they're just not playing him as they're not playing with Nick Leddy, even with Boychuk out. So power play 2 in like 17 to 18 minutes is fine, but it's really nothing to like I guess risk it over, just because we're finding a lot of strong values across the board here. I don't think you need to go dumpster diving into the low threes. And if you do, guys like Brandon Montour say, "Hey, I'm right here, like right here, still doing stuff." Even though, so I mean, you can find guys that play pretty insignificant roles that have like a track record of like DFS like production. So
Yeah. Yeah, the Boychuk news is that they're optimistic he will return, but they're not going to say anything until tomorrow.
okay,
So it might be hopefully not something you have to wait for morning skate for, but yeah, I think the Islanders defense is extremely suspect right now
yeah,
without him.
and kind of tangential to that. I mean, it's really tough for me to recommend this Islanders top line: Lee Tavares, Josh Bailey. They are all above 6,500 in price, and none of them individually are as good of a play as Jacob Voracek is. So I just think you're taking on a lot of unnecessary risk in stacking these guys. Like, it's so rare that they're going to meet their projection, basically, like what they would need to meet value. It's just so rare that they're going to surpass that, because that would take like 3 goals, basically. Um, and interestingly, Josh Bailey has the exact same number as assists as Jakub Voracek does, 38 and 40. I think Voracek has like 41 games played or something like that. So they're tied in assists, yet Voracek has double the shots. Therefore, he's a full half point per game better of a fantasy asset, even though Bailey has more goals scored. So that's just kind of like exhibit A on like how important it is to be cognizant of how lucky guys are getting with their shot. Bailey shooting 17%, Voracek 6. So, just something to keep in mind. I think Philly is going to be kind of overlooked here, and I like them as one of the more smash spots on the entire slate. So, at the risk of
Yeah.
taking way too long yet again on a single game, let's go to Carolina at Pittsburgh. DJ, anything to note from this game?
I mean, Carolina's been red hot. They had a really, really good outing, I felt like, against Washington, except Washington got the OT win. But I'm pretty sure they came back, correct?
Yeah,
I feel like
Ovechkin did Ovechkin things, tied the game,
yeah,
and then won in OT. Both
yeah, yeah,
superhuman
yeah.
efforts.
But Carolina, I know they beat the Rangers before the break, scoring a ton of goals. So I definitely feel like Carolina is turning it up right now. I know that they're just reached the they're in the wild card right now for the playoffs, and I know they have the longest drought in the NHL. I feel like this is a team that's kind of feeding into that, maybe. I know that's like super narrative, not DFS related things that really matter that much. But I just like Carolina, and I think that Teravainen and Aho is like always in play as a GPP stack. Um, they're both on the same power play. On the Pittsburgh side, I feel like we finally have a pretty healthy Pittsburgh team with Letang and Schultz back. So they're going to be going on full cylinders, which is definitely going to make this game pretty interesting. I guess the biggest note I'd say from the last game is that Jamie Oleski from Pittsburgh had a power play goal, and he was out there with Crosby, Schultz, Malkin, and Kessel. Um, I don't know. I guess that's the most interesting part of that. Well, I guess, and that line 4 for Pittsburgh had 2 goals as well. So if
Yeah,
you played Pittsburgh, yeah, you were
I don't even know what to make of that. Like, I can't imagine that Alexiak is actually supposed to be on that unit. Like, it's got to be Letang. I don't see a reason to play Jamie Alexiak based off of that. The fact that he did score a power play goal. So, I mean, if you
I don't
really,
know. Like, what was it right at the end of the shift? Like, I have no idea.
yeah, it doesn't make sense. So without having like watched it, 2.8 though for a guy who's going to play 18, 19 minutes and play at least power play 2 time. Because I mean that's where he was even before.
It looks like it was at the exact very end of the power play.
Okay, so that would make a bit
Like
more
looking at
sense.
the shot tide, I'm pretty sure the dark blue means they were on the power play, and it's like right at the edge. So I do not think he's
Well,
actually on the power play.
DJ, if you score in the power play, that means the power play's over. So
No, I know, but like it's like the
like,
blue,
oh,
the thick,
okay,
it's pretty thick,
okay.
and like
So
the
so you
dark
mean like
blue,
the full 2 minutes? Okay, I gotcha.
like go look at it. Like you're probably on Hockey Viz,
That is true.
so you can kind of see it. You're a better judge of this stuff. You know Hockey Viz a bit better than me, but that looks like they pretty much served the full 2 minutes. Obviously, the
Yeah,
goal at the end of it, but
yeah, I mean that makes sense.
I do not think he's on that unit.
Let's
But
not spend
then,
any more time
nope,
analyzing
I
the
want to
Zapruder
argue about
film.
this.
The Zapruder film of Jamie Oleksiak scoring an NHL goal. What a world we live in.
I'm proud of it.
So, yeah, I mean, I like your take on Stahl, Aho, Teravainen. Jordan Stahl is 4,700. I just think that's way too low of a price. Similarly, Sebastian Aho is 5.3, and Teravainen is also 5.3. Uh, they've been playing together. They're playing on the same power play. So I just think they make a lot of sense. I think they have just as much upside as a line, such as the Tavares, Bailey, Lee line, and you're getting them for way cheaper. You can fit way more in your lineup around them, and you don't need them to have a 3 goal night to like be in the running for like cashing GPPs basically. So I think that they make a lot of sense as like a good way to save money and get a pretty good stack that'll shoot the puck a decent amount. On the Pittsburgh side, I mean, you mentioned Sidney Crosby's been just ice cold, I guess. I don't really know what's up with him. Um,
Broke.
like, yeah, it's just weird. Like over the past 10 games, he's averaging less than 2 DraftKings points per game. So I think you just have to stay far away. Uh, Carolina is also a team that's going to dominate possession, so it's not like you're getting some cheap counting stats that way. Like you just need guys who are producing, and right now Pittsburgh is just overpriced for my liking. So yeah, I mean, anyone that you would play on the Pittsburgh side before we move on?
Um, I mean, no one's really jumping off the page to me. Um, eh, no, not really, honestly. Gensel's down in the third line right now with Sheehan and Sprong. It's like he's really not in play, so I don't know. Sherry with Crosby, but I'm not sold on him. Right? Sure, he was with
Yeah,
Crosby. Right?
yeah. I
I
mean,
could really see them shaking up the Lions, although they did win 5-1.
yeah, right. I mean,
It's so weird. I don't even know what to say.
I
I don't
guess
think
it's
Sherry.
Malkin. Like it's got to
Yeah,
be
probably it's
Malkin
Malkin.
because he's been shooting the puck a ton. I'm pulling up their power play like percentage. Like I'm just looking up how much he dominates the shots on the power play. Yeah, so Malkin's taking, let's see, 26% of the shots on the power play when he's out there. So it seems like he's kind of their driving force. So 6,800 for Malkin, I think, is a much better play than Crosby at 7K. But again, I think that you're better off going with the Bergeron Sagan if you can get up to him. So yeah, let's go to Tampa Bay at Montreal. Yeah, Montreal just continues to struggle. One thing that I wanted to note was that Max Pacioretty was not playing on the first power play last game. Like they've pretty much just officially like given up on him for God knows what reason. So that's interesting to say the least. However, it does lead to some interesting value. Arturi Lehkonen, 3,700, playing a first line with Druin and first power play with Druin as well. I wanted to point out that on the season, uh, just like last year, where Lehkonen was one of the best 5-on-5 rate shooters in the entire NHL, among guys with over 100 minutes played, Lehkonen ranks 13th in the NHL in iCorsi per 60, which is obviously pretty awesome. You're getting him at a really fair price at 3,700. If you watch him play, I mean, you'll see that he has a good amount of talent. So it's not like he's just some plug out there just shooting the puck at will. So I think Lehkonen is a pretty strong value play here. You can pair him with Druin or Jeff Petrie or something like that, but I think as a one-off, he also makes sense. So that's the thing I wanted to talk about. I mean, obviously we have Tampa here. So what are your thoughts here, Deej?
I mean, I feel like it's not even worth really talking about Tampa Bay because anything we could say would have been completely echoed by every other podcast. At one system, it's extremely good. It works every night. It feels like. I mean, right now they are rolling 6 defense and 12 forwards, which they haven't done all season. But I really don't feel like we need to go crazy on them. I mean, besides Johnson going up to that second unit, they haven't really changed too much. On Montreal side, I feel like you pretty much covered the basic new things. I mean, I do like Hudon with Pacioretty and Dano. Um, Pacioretty and Hudon were both in the same power play unit, but it does look like their power play was pretty jumbled, I guess. It
Yeah.
looks like Pacioretty was with the first unit and Lehkonen was off it for a little while, and Lehkonen was on the second unit. So,
Yeah,
I guess you know,
that was a 5-on-3. I watched that game a decent amount. So at the 5-on-3, they did bring out patches again. But you know, I think that they're staying with their 5-on-4 units because they've just been a train wreck forever
yeah.
now. So
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It feels like Montreal's trying to do everything they can to generate some more scoring because that's definitely been their problem. Montreal's also rolling 6 defense pretty. I mean, I feel like Petrie's not getting that huge bulk of the minutes that we thought he would and kind of has in the past over the last couple of games. I feel like they're going to keep rolling pretty much everyone. I don't know. I'm really not that interested in. I feel like I'm just not that interested in this game in general.
yeah, I mean, I think you would right or you would be right to to say that. Like, if anything, you're stacking Kucherov, Stamkos over guys like
Yeah,
Tavares, Lee, I think, or Tavares, Bailey.
yeah. I
I
don't
just think,
hate that as an idea, but
yeah,
I don't love it.
that's like a plus EV move, I would say. Like
Yeah,
just making sure you don't stack lines that are shooting ridiculously high shooting percentages and take guys that are just like producing insane amount of offense and have been all year and are two of the top 5 players in the NHL. So I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable. But I'm not interested in Hedman really outside of like really big field GPPs, and I'm not really that interested in Nemestikov, who's like predictably really cooled off and is definitely not worth 6.2. So yeah, let's just move on. I mean, I think
I'm
people
fine with
know.
that.
I think people know Tampa well enough at this point. They don't need us to tell them what to
And if they
do.
don't
So
know, now they know.
yes, the Vegas Golden Marchessaults are heading on the Scrooge McDuck's Golden Plane to take on the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis has been just. I don't want to say they've been like struggling, but I mean they've really been struggling to score goals here. I mean they've put up 3 goals only 3 times in their past 10 games. Like they're just not really getting it done. Vegas is just out here just making us look like complete fools because as good as their PDO was to begin the season, they've all of a sudden just turned it on and said like, "Hey guys, look, now we're going to be a 60% possession team, like night in, night out." So what do we know? I mean, it's really a good lesson to learn from this.
Mhm.
But as far as this game goes for DFS purposes, I really have no interest in anyone here. Like I still respect St. Louis, but I don't like what they've been doing offensively. So I'm staying far away. DJ, maybe a couple top plays from this game.
I think the top play from this game. Oh man, I mean, like Tarasenko is always a good play, so I guess like price not considered, it has to be him. But I feel like if you're looking at like every single player in the pool, like Tarasenko is probably not the best play at the price.
Yeah, I think I
So
agree there. Like,
I don't think I'll really like
like
I don't really have that much interest in anyone on St. Louis. I feel like um
yeah,
Upshaw's
like
on that top line, but like it's Tarasenko, Shen, and Upshaw.
yeah,
Are they just
just
like I feel like it's a placeholder for where Pacioretty might end up going. Um,
that
I really hope that happens.
would be fun.
I don't know. I really don't know. Like
All
as an
right.
extremely cheap option, Tage Thompson. I don't, what's his price at now? Actually, I don't even. It's probably pretty at 3,300. Like he's getting enough minutes and has enough of a floor. I feel like to be in play. Um, he's on that second power play. I mean, honestly, it looks like they split their power play units pretty evenly.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
he's on the power play with Tarasenko and Shen. So I'm gonna call it the first one. And Parayko,
Oh
they're
yeah,
kind of in
yeah,
trouble.
that did happen. Petrangelo got moved off of that unit, so I mean, Colton
Yeah, pretty.
Parayko has been playing a sick amount of minutes anyways. So 4,500, I think that actually makes sense if you want to do that, just because he has such a high floor. But
Yeah,
I'm looking for a bit more confirmation that like that's their plan on the power play.
I agree.
You know, I can't confirm that that's like what they wanted to do. It could have just been some extenuating circumstances, but I did notice that and wanted to point that out.
Colton Parayko blocks a ton of shots on top of the fact that he
Yeah,
has some gifts offensively as well. He's just an extremely good defenseman. I,
right.
I want him in Buffalo. It will never happen. But we'll move on to my depression. To the Vegas side, yeah, like I like Marchessault okay as a floor option. I think he always has that goal upside, but he's pretty expensive. I mean, I feel like I'm not positive. I don't hate it. I mean, if you really want to go narrative, you go David Perron for Vegas as he will be traveling back to St. Louis, and it feels like that motivates these players. They lead the warm-ups when they do that, and they, I know that the team kind of has a thing going for that. So if you want the narrative, it's him. If you don't know about the NHL that much and that he was on St. Louis last year, blah blah blah. But other than that, yeah, we can probably move on from this game. I really
All
don't
right.
have
Um,
other
yeah,
than
so we
that.
got Minnesota hosting the Sabres. Big news here is that
Uh,
Niederreiter is back for the Minnesota Wild. He
well, as well as
missed.
Parise. I know we haven't mentioned that since the last podcast. I don't believe.
Yeah, Parise's back. I mean, even Coyle's playing. I think he's been playing for a little bit though, so not huge news there. But he's definitely back. They're rolling 3 pretty decent lines now, so the injury bug pretty much gone in Minnesota. So their first power play looked like Koivu, Granlund, Nino, with Spurgeon and Suter. So Matt Dumba's back to that second power play. But again, that second power play now looks pretty nice with Stahl, Parise, Coyle, I think Ennis even, and Dumba. One of those guys might have actually been left off the power play, but like those are some pretty nice players, and that's not even getting guys like Eriksson Ek in there. Clearly, I think you can tell I like a lot of these Minnesota guys like as players. So I obviously have no interest in playing Buffalo Sabres. Like they're not good, and
Are
and
you
the only
sure?
and the only guys who are good are the 7,000, like Eichel and Kane,
Yeah.
basically. So I'm just pretty much staying away entirely. And
Oh
I do think Nino makes a lot of sense, and I love Spurgeon. I love Suter, just because they're so reliable night in, night out, and they do have decent upside given how much their defensemen possess the puck on their power play. Like I think they're a nice team to kind of do like an onslaught of on any slate. And with all their main guys like right around 5K, I definitely think that onslaughting Minnesota makes a lot of sense here. So I might be watching a Sabres game with a bit different motivation than usual, but
yeah. I
your thoughts?
mean, well, I mean, the Sabres are terrible.
Good, good
That's
thought.
interesting.
It's a good
Well,
thought.
I guess the value guy from this game that I don't believe you mentioned. I mean, I was kind of laughing a bit there, and I may have missed it. Joel Eriksson Ek though has been getting, it seems like, a lot more minutes. He had 17.3 in the last game, which I almost positive includes a look. No, nothing on the power play. It was all penalty kill. That was what it was. How? No way. That's pretty much all 5-on-5 time then. And he's with Koivu and Grantland. So
Yeah, with
Eriksson Ek,
Nino back, they're playing
but that won't
Koivu
matter.
Granlund with Nino. I saw the
Oh
lines. So
man.
yeah,
Well, there's
definitely talk
that
about
then.
that. So jump on board, Deej. We're going on
Never
with the show.
mind. It's you're right. I like Joel Eriksson Ek.
I know, Deej. All right, let's go to New Jersey at Dallas. Dallas is actually a really huge favorite here, which is kind of surprising given that New Jersey's gained a lot of respect around the league for how well they've played. That said, Dallas is a minus 170 favorite here, the third biggest favorite of the night. So that's pretty intriguing. Guys like Sagan, Sagan I think is underpriced, and the obvious mispricing to me is still Matthias Janmark at 3,400. Like, you know, I can't really get around the fact that I watch him. He has the puck so much. His shot rate is decent, and I mean he's only 3,400. And what I love about it is that 4-on-4, 3-on-3 comes. He's the guy going out there with Tyler Sagan mostly. So the power play time hasn't quite been there for him. He got a glimpse of first power play time a couple games ago, and that did not hold over. Last game they didn't have a power play because that's what Columbus does. Um, but even without the direct power play exposure to Sagan, I just think that Janmark in a top six role makes a lot of sense, especially on teams that are exploitable on defense, like New Jersey is. So really like Janmark at 3,400. DJ, your thoughts on like that Sagan Ben shoreline? I know Radulov got a few looks there. Maybe a
Yeah.
defenseman like Klingberg.
I think I'm just gonna have Sagan solo. I think it's safe and cash NGPP. I just really like Sagan as a player. I think at that price, like if you're debating between maybe Sagan, Bergeron, McKinnon, Crosby, Eichel, I think Sagan's the best option in that category. I think he's a better option than Matthews as well. So I really like Sagan. I don't mind him as a one-off at all. I don't even mind going with him and Janmark and just kind of hoping that they do end up connecting on the power play or something. So yeah, no, I really like your take on Janmark. On the New Jersey side, do you have any interest? Or, well, actually, I should
Um,
probably just get your take on Dallas. Did you like what I said there? Or do you want to add something?
no, I liked what you said there. I think
I
on the
mean,
New Jersey side that Nico Hischier is playing really well as of late. He has multiple shots in each of
yeah,
the last 10
I feel like
games.
he's just good.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
it's like it's not outlandish that first overall pick is actually good at hockey. Like he's playing with Taylor Hall.
mm,
I mean, so yeah, like call me crazy, but he's actually pretty good. So 5100, you know, it's not pretty at center on most slates. I think here there are better options, but I think that Heischer is still a pretty good option for 5100, given that he's one of the few guys with like a tangible shot floor as of late. And we know he's like really fast, he's really skilled, he's playing with Taylor Hall, and I think he makes sense even in a pretty tough matchup against Dallas, which is a weird thing to say, like
it's a
that
weird thing
they're
to
a
say,
tough
but I
matchup,
mean,
but
we
it's
got to remember
true.
the coach
Yeah.
who they picked up. It got to definitely changes the way they do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say Sammy Vatanen just because like before the last game they played, he had a pretty good blocks plus shots thing going on and good minutes, but I don't know. I feel like it's pretty risky to really go all in on something like that. I think he's there as like an option, but because he's just so cheap. I know his shots plus blocks are doing pretty well.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I
yeah,
I'm not a big Sammy
I don't have a ton
Vatanen
of
fan
interest in
in
your jersey,
general,
so
so I'm
yeah, but
definitely
I'm just
fading
saying
it.
like,
But
well, yeah, but that's like a bias that you have that you shouldn't include.
yeah, I mean, my biases have done okay for me. So, Ricky
Well, they're
Rax.
wrong. Yeah, I'm right.
Look,
Whatever,
if you just
whatever.
jam in Ricky Rax, no matter what his price is, like he is
Do
like
you
the world's greatest player. So whatever.
was it you that retweeted the because like I knew that was it Anaheim got Ricky Rax with the 30th pick, and I remember it being through Toronto, and I was always like, oh man, Toronto must have
Yeah.
traded that pick, and that was dumb. But then you actually retweeted the actual tweet.
Yeah,
It was
they
if you want to
traded
say it.
the pick that turned into Tyler Biggs. So they traded up in the draft. They gave up the 30th pick, which turned into Raquel. You know, Anaheim took Raquel with the 30th pick, and then Toronto also gave them the 50th something pick as an
Second rounder.
exchange. Yeah, like a second rounder to move up in the draft. They drafted John Gibson with that. So they basically traded Ricky Rax and John Gibson for Tyler Biggs, I think was his name, who I remember being an NHLer, but he was pretty terrible and obviously is no longer. So, yeah, don't trade up in the draft, you clowns.
Um,
All right,
I mean,
let's move on.
okay,
I want to play some NHL tonight. So, let's go
fair enough.
Columbus at Colorado. Colorado just been out here like taking names, like just smashing people like
Are
left and
they good?
right. I, I mean,
I mean, it's gonna be
McKinnon's certainly good.
It's Colorado versus Vegas in the conference finals now, right? Is that like confirmed?
I mean, uh, yes. I mean, probably. Like,
You
given
know
the
who's
way
been
this season's going.
who's been an absolute shots plus blocks monster the past few games
Who's that?
for Colorado? Patrick Nemeth.
Wow.
You know
Yeah.
what
I
I'm talking
mean,
about?
yeah. You are
He
like
has been a
a
monster.
1000% right. He
Oh my
has.
god! Like what?
What? What are we
Yeah,
looking at? All right. So
I don't
last 10
know.
games. Last 10 games, he has 41 blocked shots and 18 shots on goal. Playing 20 minutes a night. Like, all right, that's something.
Like,
All right.
is this a thing? I saw it and I'm like, all right, well, like, let me look. And I'm like, wait, this is a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want,
He's just
like,
an animal.
yeah, I mean, like Eric Johnson's kind of been the same. I mean, he's much more expensive, but like Tyson Berry going out just seems like it's unleashed all of these guys.
Yeah.
Johnson has 56 shots plus blocks over the last 10 games, and he's playing like 30 minutes a night for them. So
He has to.
yeah, that's pretty. But my problem with Colorado on this particular slate is that Columbus, like one, they're not like terrible defensively, and two, like it's pretty well known that like they are not a team that takes a lot of penalties. So I mean, like you are actually kind of like getting burned by like a lack of special teams because one, like they're not drawing power plays, but two, they're not taking penalties.
Yeah,
So
so that only even almost
it's
feed into this Nemeth guy more. Nemeth? How do you think you say it?
I think it's Nemeth,
Yeah,
but
Nemeth, because like
yeah,
he doesn't play power play. So like, I mean, they might just give him a couple more 5-on-5 minutes. I don't know. I'm not saying it's like the smartest play of all time because like this could just kind of be like a blip in the radar of him being. I mean, I don't know. I don't. He had 11 block shots one game. Oh my god. Okay. So keep that name in mind at 3,400. I guess it's there. I mean, it's a floor guy. I do not expect him to score a goal. It will not be my guaranteed goal by any means. Um, but I guess he's there. And yeah, I agree. Like Columbus is really just not taking penalties. I mean, maybe I don't know what. Oh, I'm blanking on his name right now.
What
I'm
are you, the coach
the
or
coach. Why can't I think of his name? I'm
Jared?
picturing him.
Yeah, Bednar.
No. Columbus is coach. Freaking
Torts, you idiot.
yeah, Torres. I'm like picturing him yelling at people, and I'm like, what the heck's his name? Yeah, Torts. Like Torts literally must be like throwing hot coals at them if they get a penalty. So they just stop doing that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I was about to say the wrong name and it was like stuck in my head. I was about to say um Talkit because we couldn't think of it last time. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that's Arizona. No, and then yeah. All right, so basically, is there anything else from this game though? I mean, besides McKinnon being unreal, like that line being a thing, I guess it's getting pretty expensive now to try to stack Colorado one, but um, very expensive. Is there anything from this game that you actually like as a real take? 'Cause I feel like we kind of just said like a lot of things, but no real like defiant takes.
Not really for me. I just think that the McKinnon line is too expensive. Um, if you want to get like, I think you can get away with a McKinnon, Eric Johnson, Miko Rantanen stack, but that costs you a bit too much money, I think, for my liking. However, if you're big on Colorado, like because they have been playing really well as of late, I think that that's where you should go. Um, Sadly, JT Compher's been well, he's on IR, so he's like he's not playing. So there's some more minutes to go around for that top line, given that Comfort was playing like 19 minutes a night, crazily enough. Um, so yeah, really nothing concrete though that I love here. So I'm willing to move on to LA at Calgary. But
Yeah, so
anything you
Calgary
got?
being the one team we haven't seen since 2017. I
Yes,
think
that
the only
is
team.
true.
We might find another one later on the show. There's not many teams left, but no, we've seen.
We've
No, I think this
seen
is the only team we haven't seen in 2018. We haven't seen them. Yeah, yeah.
um
So
yeah, uh, perhaps. I
facts,
don't know. I would
facts.
have to think about that a bit more.
Nope, I'm all right. Confirm it. Lock it in. Okay. So now, what are our thoughts on this game? Do you want to start with either team?
I mean, LA just like so I mean, LA did run roughshod over Edmonton, but really what happened is if they were playing a 0-0 game, LA gets a greasy one late in the second, and then Pat Maroon thinks it's a great idea to try to decapitate Drew
Murder.
Doughty with a really just a BS like chicken wing to the head sort of. I mean, he got a game misconduct for
Two and two
interference.
game suspension.
He got a 2 game suspension as
Yes.
well. So, like, it was really. But then LA comes out in the third and scores 3 power play goals, breaks the game open. Um, what LA's really been showing me is like kind of what they did last year. Like, they're not quite as good possession wise, but they're really not playing at too fast a pace. So, I'm not all that interested in them. Um, you know, Calgary's a team that I've danced with a lot. I can't say that it's been two outstanding results. Um, so in a matchup against LA, like I'm kind of staying away from this game entirely. Any, I guess, any counter thoughts from you? Like Backlund, Tkachuk are still cheap. I like that new power play unit they're running, but for Calgary, but
Mhm. Yeah,
too
I think it's the
outlandish.
Backlund one off for me. I think there's potential there. I think it's going to be really like I don't think anyone's really going to have him against LA because LA has been good this year. Backlund's had a couple pretty disappointing nights back to back, although he had 2 assists, I guess, against Chicago. But just as far as like raw shot numbers and kind of being like a generator himself, it was pretty assist based. So I feel like people will be off of it. I don't mind Backlund at all. I don't mind going against LA. Like they're not perfect. I think Doughty's really good and Muzzin's pretty good, but after their top three defense, like I'm definitely not afraid of the bottom three. And if you could get a good matchup for Backlund, I think he'll exploit them tomorrow. He was playing with the Chuck and Yager, correct? That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think he might be able to turn back into that main generator on the line. So I think he's my one off. I'm not really looking at Calgary one. Um, yeah, no, I think that pretty much sums up this game for me.
Yeah,
But what about LA? I guess LA, I don't like. I never hate the Foley, and he's kind of down in price. So I mean, he's definitely
yeah.
in play. But
I don't know what they're trying to do with their
no, me
lines,
neither.
with power plays. They're just kind of. I just think they're all overpriced. Really, like it's kind of a lazy assumption, but like I just look at them and nothing jumps out to me at all. Like even Pearson at what he's at 4,600. Like he's just not been productive.
Yeah,
So I think my top plays in this game are that Giordano, Backlund,
mm,
Kachuk power play stack because they are playing with Gaudreau and Monahan now, and I think that makes a lot of sense given their prices and given their strong floor numbers historically. So, anything
absolutely
else
agree. No,
before?
I have. No, I think that was the perfect point there. But we can
All
move
right,
on to Anaheim, Edmonton.
Anaheim, Edmonton. Like hopefully you got your cards in the mail for the Anaheim is actually good club. I want to say Anaheim climbed back up into a playoff spot, right? Like
I don't have it up. I'm
they
sure
were.
they're close. It's not there. I'll look quick. You
So
talk about Anaheim.
yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say. Raquel is just through the roof expensive now, 6,800. I think that's a reasonable price just because he's been shooting so much. Like he and Getzlaff just really have something special. So I have no issues going right back to that Ricard Raquel. But I think the really interesting like play to just keep riding until they is a Kessler Jakob Silfverberg stack. Kessler and Silfverberg have been playing together at 5-on-5 the past couple games and on the first power play. Uh, 0.7, Silfverberg is 5.2. We saw these guys last year, like as one of the better possession lines in the league. They played with a ton of pace last season. So even though the early results haven't been overly optimistic, I'm still really high on that those two guys in particular going forward. And Cogliano got banged up last game. I don't remember if he ended up missing any shifts or not, but see who plays with them. As if it's someone who gets power play time like Kasha or something, that could be interesting. But as for right now, I think it's just Kessler Silfverberg for me, and maybe Cogliano if you want to stay cheaper, but that's really only in deep, deep GPPs because he's not much of a DFS player.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Anaheim's going to be rolling three lines pretty much regularly and giving that line for a little bit of time here or there. But I think you could get exposure of like Kessler and maybe even like go with Kessler, Raquel, and Getzlaff. Like I don't mind really crossing the lines and trying to get that power play one in because I think that first power play unit's going to be unbelievable down the stretch as we get this season and they really get acclimated together at full health because it almost feels like there's like a whole new team in Anaheim. Looking at their lines and what they can do now. I mean, obviously Henrique coming in this year in the trade and everything they have. So I definitely, if you could put the money on Anaheim for like, I don't know. I mean, they are in the playoffs by 1 point in the wild card, but I could really see them getting in as a, I don't know, 3/4 seed and really have a chance to run the table. So
I've been saying it since the summer. I think they're the best team in the
I,
West. So, I mean,
the thing is, I remember I had them like under Edmonton and you like ripped my head off, and I was like, all right, we'll see. And now I'm like, you're right, and I'm wrong.
yeah, I mean, I just think, like you said, they're deep. They're super talented. They have one of the better defenses in the entire NHL. So,
I
I'm
was
excited
just
to see where this goes.
I was just really mad at them because they just decided, you know what, we're just gonna let Shea Theodore go. Bye,
Yeah.
bye,
So,
Theodore. And I'm
I
like,
mean,
no,
to try
I'm done
to
with
try
you.
and let you to cut you off here, the Oilers have really, really, really been struggling on their penalty kill. They have like a something like a 50% kill rate at home, which is a weird split, but like if you look at overall, it's like one of the worst in the NHL too. So uh, that's another kind of, I guess, good marker for the Anaheim first power play. But on the Edmonton side, I mean, we're seeing Jesse Puljujarvi like just like shoot the
Yeah.
puck like nobody else right now. His
Well,
rate
besides
numbers,
Patrick Nemeth, but
well, yes, obviously. He's playing alongside McDavid. Pat Maroon going out. unfortunately doesn't open up a first power play spot for Puljujärvi, so that's where I think I'll be going all in on him. But for now, I mean, I'm kind of interested in McDavid, Puljujärvi, and then whoever they use to fill in that slot. They did not run lines that I can tell this morning, so there's nothing right now that says who is going to be filling that spot alongside those two. But keep an eye on that, as I think that's the top play from this game. Draisaitl's back up almost at 6,000. I think that's just too high a price for him not playing with McDavid. So anyone on the Edmonton side you're interested in, or can we go to the last game?
Well, did you get the lines they ran today? Did you say them or no?
Did you see some? I
Yeah.
didn't. Okay,
That
what
was
are they?
Ryan Hopkins, McDavid, Puljujärvi,
No,
Lucic,
no. That was the guy saying that's what he would run.
Wait, what? With Bruins member two games? Oh, I guess they're not.
Yeah,
No, no,
yeah.
no,
So
no,
that's
no. These are right. Wow, you're right. These really aren't their lines, are they?
yeah. They didn't run
Man,
lines today, so
well, I'm
that
already
was like
tweeting
a.
that. Nope, I'm going with it. All right, but what do you? Why? So I guess what's the point? Yeah, Puljujärvi's a fine play. Never mind. I'm dumb. I hate myself. This is stupid.
Yeah,
Why
I
would
mean,
you
I
tweet
think
that? Like, it looked so right to me. Like, the format was so
because
good.
he's
He had
not
a blue
a.
check mark.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a writer though. He's not a beat reporter.
No, he needs to tell me what I
Because
need to
he's
know.
very smart. Those should be the lines they're running, but they're not going to
Honestly,
because
I don't. Yeah, honestly, I look at him. I really like him. I was like, yo,
Edmonton's pretty
RNH
done.
throwing
So
game.
yeah,
RNH has been good too. All right, we can move on. I know you want to go play Chow.
last game of the
I was
night,
watching the
Nashville
show.
at Arizona. Jacob Chitrin has been playing more minutes than Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and I think it's officially time to just like go all in on him. 3,400 still playing second power play, but he's just a floor machine.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I don't remember calling it first, but I think I did.
I mean, you most certainly did. So, major kudos there. But if you're looking for a cheap defenseman, I think that's where you go. Apologies to Mr. Patrick Nemeth, but Chitrin just makes a ton of sense here. And uh, I guess Nashville's side, they got the news. Philip Forsberg is out for about a month, maybe more. So Kaya Yarncroc is playing. Maybe I think it's Yarn Crow actually. He's playing alongside Johansson and Arvidsson. Not too interested in Kaya Yarncroc, but it's certainly newsworthy, and Nashville's one of the bigger favorites on the night. I'm a bit concerned about what I'm seeing in the underlying numbers from Nashville. Just simply, they haven't really been all that good. Um, but I mean, it is Arizona. Like they are a team that's been susceptible to giving up a lot of, I guess, chances. I noticed that in what I sent you, Deej, I did not run that game as part of the.
Oh
If
yeah,
you're
no, I know. I kind of noticed that. That was short, but it's okay.
Yeah, so anyways, we will persevere. Just trust me when I say the underlying numbers have not been that favorable for Nashville. And yeah, I think that there's just not quite enough value here. I think we've uncovered a lot of value in other spots. So I think if I was going to go anywhere, it would be with Arvidsson and Subban, given that I think they're at pretty reasonable prices given their projections. Um, but anyone here pique your interest?
No, I think you just talked for like 2 minutes straight. Like I think you covered it all, really. Like Chutrin's my man. You know that from day one. I'm definitely playing him. I mean, that's like it's almost a no-brainer. I feel like people won't play him because they've never heard of him, and they won't like look into it enough because he is a
that's really true.
beast. Like he's on that top power play too. You said that, right?
Is he now?
Yeah,
Like
Keller, Fisher, Domi, Ekman Larson, and Chutrin. I mean,
nice. Okay.
that got more minutes last game. And Stepan was also there. It looked like for a bit on that top unit. Like he had a goal. No, he had an assist. I don't know if it's on top unit or not. So like I don't know. But yeah, like it's pretty lit if you're playing Jacob Chutrin and you've been on the train with me and we've been riding that train to a great floor. Yeah, you'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, I wonder if that Chitrin power play stuff came on a 5-on-3 potentially. Um,
Could
but
have.
either way, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think you should worry about that for like cash purposes, I think Chitrin is like the cheap option on defense. However, if you're looking to stack, I think I would just go with the Keller Domi Fisher combo as they play together at 5-5. So even if they're not like first power play together, which I think you're right, Deej, I think they will be, um,
Mhm.
you still get that 5-5 correlation between them. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary of the slate. Do you just want to do some maybe two top stacks, guarantee goals, and announce I guess the official winner of the morning
Well,
skate December?
they're gonna do a head to head, I think, tomorrow for the official
Oh, they
winner.
haven't done it yet. Okay, cool.
No, they did not do it yet. So we had DraftKings name Will Maddock and Matt Armby, or how do you think you say it?
I think it's Armstrong. I think that's his
Armstrong. Yeah,
second.
but like I'm just saying they're like they're
Armbrister. Matt
yeah. I,
Armbrister.
I was
Wow,
just saying
that's
they're like
much
their
more
handles
badass.
on DK.
Oh, I guess yeah. I guess
It's
you're
like
right.
Arm 9. They had 4 wins along with Matt.
Yep, and DJ somehow muted himself again because he is a very smart human. Um, yeah, I tied them in the December standings. I should have had 5 wins, but I did not enter my team. My best team of the month, I did not enter in the listener league. So that was hilarious and sad. Um, so yeah, I still not sure what I don't think the loser is going to come on the podcast. It's a lot of work for us. But I think what we're going to do is maybe we'll do like a fun little avatar gamble or something like that. So yeah, DJ still hasn't managed to figure out his microphone, which is very, very convenient for our purposes. All right, he is just a total.
Hi.
Okay, he's here.
Dude, I literally clicked it like 5 times and it wouldn't go on. I don't know what's going on. I kept like clicking it and like waiting and nothing would happen. And then finally it went on. But I was like, I kept
Well,
like talking afterwards and I kept thinking it was working again. And then you'd say like, where is he? And I'm like, oh no. All right. What I was saying though is that yeah, in the group me right now, they're kind of like saying that they were gonna like have the loser come on, but I'm thinking we might just do that for like the end of the year thing, like an end of the year celebration, the
yeah,
ultimate loser of all of it. Oh, because we'll probably keep like season long standings. Obviously, if you want to jump in and get on each month, we'll have a winner as well. But I mean, honestly, it's not too late. Like 4 wins, we could catch up in no time. So please, if you want to join the league, let us know. Reach out to us in any capacity, and we'll make sure you get an invite to the league every single night.
yeah. So with all that said, let's just go to stacks and guarantee goals then.
Yeah, put it down. Do you have one at the top?
Yeah, I think. Well, I had a guaranteed goal, but I guess stacks.
Well, what do you want to do first? I'm sorry. Do you want to do goals?
Uh, well, no, we normally do stacks first. I just kind of
That's what
got
I thought. Yeah.
lost. I'm gonna do the Carolina first line. Aho, Stahl, Teravainen. I just think they're too cheap. I really like them, so I will leave you with anyone you want to take, Deej.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna probably steal something of yours, but I'm gonna say Voracek, Gossespierre. Just those two. I think that's a really savvy stack. I don't know if you're gonna go with it, and I don't think I'd throw a third in at all at this point. But if I had to, gun to my head, I'd probably throw in Giroux. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I do that or not right now. I think I'll just stick to the two.
Okay.
With Giroux on the outside, looking
All
into
right.
that because they don't really
I will
correlate.
go. I will go
Okay.
with Kessler, Silverberg. I'm just gonna ride them. If you want a third, add in Raquel.
Yeah.
Just gonna keep riding Anaheim. I mean, remember Anaheim Edmonton last year? I think Anaheim put up 5 goals on them in like almost every game of that series. So maybe a little bit of uh, historical reasoning to that play. But just regardless, I think Anaheim's really good, and I think that Kessler and Silverberg's prices don't reflect that. So let's go with those two.
All right. My last one's going to be Minnesota, and I almost just want to say like anyone on Minnesota.
Are they
So I
playing?
might, but if I
Play.
had to like pick some players, I really like Granlund and Koivu. Okay. I like Eric Stahl kind of as a one-off, or if you wanted to go Eric Stahl and Zucker, I'm totally okay with that. I do think that there's going to be some changes that go on with Minnesota throughout the year to kind of optimize this lineup because I feel like what they have right now isn't the ultimate end of what they're going to have, especially with Niederreiter coming back in. So I'm just going to go with Koivu and Granlund. And if I had to pick a defenseman, Matt, would you go Dunbar or Spurgeon for that?
It's definitely Spurgeon.
Yeah, okay, I thought so too.
Because he's
That's
playing
kind of
on
leaning
that first
towards
power play. So
perfect. Those three for me, and then guaranteed
right.
goals. Matt, you get the first one.
I'm gonna go with Voracek and Nino Niederreiter. Just really like those two plays. Get you right around the mid 11,000 for the combined two of them. So give me those two.
Okay, and then I am going to go with Tyler Seguin of the Dallas Stars.
Solid.
And as I really tried to gather my last pick, because I did not think of one beforehand, really. You know what?
I mean, mid forwards gets you guys like Dadonov, Kachuk.
Yeah, I know. I was almost thinking Heinen for a second.
Danton Heinen. Wow, that would be ballsy.
I feel like it's bold because he doesn't shoot the puck enough, and I don't like that. Can he shoot more? You think maybe? If I ask him nicely,
if you ask him nicely, maybe. I mean, you could just go Jacob Kitchen and just like really go all in.
You know what? All right, I'll go Jacob Chychrun.
Is he scoring?
Yeah.
All right, let's
I'll
do
go
it.
with I mean, the guy is my boy. You know what? Yeah, Chychrun Seguin. I'm down for that all
right.
day.
Let's all right. Be sure, guys, that you follow us on Twitter at MorningscapePod. Check out our website also, morningscapepod.com. We have the sim up at, early in the morning. It's up and it stays up through the beginning of the slate. It's all free, so it's just a really cool resource. Doug's working on he's working on some like additions to it that'll be more like stacks oriented for like GPP purposes, and he's working on, I believe, a mid-season recap of sorts of like how it's been doing, guys that it's like oversold, guys that it's not been nearly high enough on. So just kind of like a learning as we go kind of thing with it, but like it's been a really, really useful tool for all of us. And I hope that if you haven't yet, you'll check it out and tell your friends about it. As you know, it's just a cool free resource for daily fantasy hockey. That's a lot of fun. So, anything that you have, Deej, before we close the show?
Just get in that group meme, get in that the league, and good luck on the slate.
Yeah, beat me. So beat me in
will.
the listener league. All right. So from Doug, from DJ, and from myself, have a good slate, everybody, and we will see ya.